Clearly, we're in a very interesting place. LinkedIn had unveiled yesterday here at the 4As some sobering statistics as related to why people are leaving agency world to go into other spaces and places. As just an example, there was a statistic that was shared that north of 40% left agencies because they could not see the opportunity in agencies. Couple that with what is becoming a very, very competitive terrain. You have the professional services agency companies like the Accentures, IBM, PricewaterhouseCoopers coming in, whether through acquisition or in-house builds, are creating their own digital, creative, interactive houses, and formidable houses. 5, 6 years ago, you did not have an equivalent, let's say, of the Creative Shop or the Zoo at Facebook and Google's. There is clearly a trend towards more in-house capabilities moving into the brand side. So you couple the competitive terrain, the expanding competitive terrain, with what I'll say is a lack of opportunity or perceived lack of opportunity on the agency side, and what that results in is a migration of talent outside of agency land. Now, with that said, while sobering as those facts may be, I think there's a very interesting opportunity for agencies to gain greater ground, especially when it comes to retaining talent and attracting talent. As I said on the panel yesterday, one of the things that we really need to focus on is the influence of the manager. So when you look at some of the statistics that LinkedIn had said, one of the top 5 reasons that people leave is because they can't see a portrait of themselves in the agency. That portrait is determined almost exclusively, or highly influentially, if you will, by the manager. So we have a millennial manager workforce, and in some agencies, that millennial manager workforce could be north of 60, 70%. Yet, are we doing the best that we can to prep them to be effective managers? It's very reasonable that you have a 26-year-old, as just an example, that oversees a team of 2, 3, 5, 10 millennial employees. And we have not done as good of a job as preparing them to be managers. Now, the data is there. So when I look at across the organization, the teams that have the highest attrition rates versus the team has the lowest attrition rate, there is a direct correlation between effective managers and ineffective managers. So we have that data. So what we are looking at is manager modeling. So if we have a high-performing team under a highly effective manager, how do we translate that behavior into our other managers within the system? So there's learnings and sharings involved in terms of what are the model behaviors of a manager. And in teams that have ineffective managers, one of the data points being high attrition levels, how can we prep them better to be effective managers?
Cool. And of course, what about the compensation side?
Yeah.
That's a tough one, isn't it?
It's a tough one, and candidly, it's a reality. There are some battlefields that we just can't win. It is well known and well documented that at the entry levels, that tech companies, as just an example, will pay higher for entry levels. Now, that doesn't mean we can't win the talent battle. We just have to up our game in other areas. One of the things I think we should do better is how do we frame a portrait of opportunity for prospect employees? I'd like it to be a home buyer. If you're in the market for a home, and you enter a house and you can't see your future in that house, you can't see an expanded family in that house, it's very unlikely you will walk through that front door as a resident of that house. Same thing for potential employees. If they can't see a future at your company, it is highly unlikely that they will walk through that front door as an employee of that company. I think we need to do a better job, and this is where the opportunity sits, in terms of framing opportunities that have both the competitive benefits and the financials, get it, but also a portrait of purpose of that organization as well. What do we stand for? What's the type of work that we do? What are the values that are shared? And if we are successful at painting the full portrait, acknowledging there are just certain areas that we will not be able to be as effective, but if we can paint a whole picture, I think we'll have a better chance of attracting greater talent where you have different levers that you are pulling.